Mm. What's up, everybody? Come on in, come on in. We're gonna have some fun tonight. What's up, everybody? Come on in, come on in. Have some fun tonight. I got super echoes going on because I got this going on 3 different computers. We live tonight on Facebook and YouTube. Waiting hopefully for my sister Nina, the original party girl, to pop in. I know she's having a little technical difficulties, and our guest for tonight is my man, Larry Lancaster. He just hit me up and told me he was going to be on in a few. So they got me up here all by myself. But it's cool. I'm a big boy. I think I can hold the fort down until they get here. I see the inclement weather has started popping in. Hope everybody out there is safe and warm and all of that good stuff. Make sure you like and share this video. Share it all over Facebook. Trying to get those numbers up. Also, my t-shirt tonight. I didn't mean to do that. My t-shirt tonight, as you can see, is from my boys over at Primetime Partners. That's my man Dane. That started out on Baltimore Flavor Radio with me. This is his new line. Got the information scrolling at the bottom of the screen, man. Y'all hit him up on Instagram and order a t-shirt. I think he might have some other apparel by now. Dark Knight, what's up, boy? What's going on with you? Nah, bro, I ain't singing and dancing, bro. I need the people to come in. I ain't trying to get them off. I'll send you the link and you can come up on here and you can sing and dance with us, though. Man, but hope everybody had a great weekend. I see somebody popping in. I think that's my man right there. Hope everybody had a great weekend, man. You know, we got a little inclement weather popping in with us now, but this is Maryland, so you know how this goes. We're going to get through this little storm we got coming and keep it pushing. But without further ado, man, I'm going to get right to it. I got to bring him in. Like, he really coming up on stage, man. I got to, how they say, coming to the stage. You've seen him at the Apollo Theater. If you've been to my church, you've probably seen him about 3 or 4 times. I know you done seen him down Lexington Market purchasing a chicken box or 2. Give it up for my man, Larry Lancaster in the building.
What's up, my brother?
What's going on, brother?
How you doing, man?
I'm hanging, bro. How are you, man?
Same here. Blessed, brother. Blessed.
It's a long time coming, man. I was just thinking about this the other day, bro. I literally haven't seen you since the last Purple Honey event.
Wow.
That I came to, and that was probably about 3 years ago when they did the Valentine's joint.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because I was at the table with the Mosbys.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I was at the table with the Mosbys, man.
The Eric Roberson show.
Exactly. So, you know, I'm sitting directly across from your state's attorney. And I don't know, I'm not gonna say bougie, but it was just a little standoffish. You know, we there to have a good time. We had a table, I I think the VIP tables usually be about 12 of us there. You know, we got
Uh-huh.
the Ciroc and everything flowing, man, and they was just kind of like just looking around like, oh, why we here with these?
Well, hopefully they wasn't like that when I was on stage, because
No, but this is funny though, because at the end of the show, as soon as you came back up to like close the show, they were like exit stage left, but they had the two bodyguards sitting to the side of the stage the whole time.
right.
They just rolled them up out the back door, man. Everybody at the table was like, you ain't we ain't want to sit here with you
No,
anyway.
they probably just, you know, with people like that, man, they sponsor, because she used to sponsor for the Purple Honey. And
Okay.
so you know, they got previous commitments and all that kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So I don't feel no kind of way about it. I like Marilyn, the state's attorney. She real good peoples, and my man Nick, they good peoples. But you
Yeah,
know,
I've seen them on other occasions since then, and I think the vibe might have been a little bit more of their being.
right.
It almost kind of felt like they were there as a PR kind of thing,
Yeah,
like
yeah, you know, just to be out, let people see you, you know,
right.
because they used to come to the other Purple Honeys. I think that was it at the hotel then?
No, this was at Magoobies.
Oh, okay, I'm a
This
Magoobies,
was at
yeah.
Magoobies. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's probably when they were still kind of campaigning. I don't even know if
I
she
don't
was.
even, you know what? Honestly, I don't even think Nick was running for anything at the time. This was before he was running for mayor and all of that stuff. I think he was like already in position at
No,
that
he was
time.
he was a delegate. He
He
was
was a
always
delegate,
a
right?
delegate, right? And then he ran for city council. He just won for president of the city council.
Yeah. Y'all letting them run all the money now. Y'all letting
Yeah.
them
Hey man,
y'all
I,
letting them
I wish them well. Hope they, you know, make good decisions, man.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. So what's been going on with you, man, during this whole pandemic shutdown, whatever it is that you want to call it, you and everybody with your family been safe and good and everything?
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, I just got news a few days ago that one of my uncles passed
Mm.
due to COVID,
My condolences.
and so yeah, his funeral is gonna be Saturday. And so, you know, not looking forward to that. And that's unfortunate, but you know, these things happen. That's the circle of life. But other than that, pretty much everyone has been, you know, safe and healthy. I just been enjoying the stillness of what's been going on, man. Just, you know, because we always on the go. We always, you know, and you don't pay attention to what you miss out on because you're busy grinding. But you know, I got to spend a lot of time with my son, man. Got to spend a lot of time with family and stuff like that. So, you know, and plus I've been doing comedy for 22 years, so it's a little different for me,
Right.
you know, as opposed to some of the younger comics who still got to be out there, still got to be grinding. I just been sitting back enjoying the break for myself. You know, I have a show here and there, but it's been kind of, you know, real chill.
So that's his way of flossing on y'all, basically saying, I don't need to get up there. I'm good right now.
No, no, no. I'm not balling, but I ain't barring. If
Right,
that
right,
makes
right, right,
sense.
exactly. And you know, you mentioned your uncle, man, and I want to before we go any further, I want to send my condolences and prayers out to the family of a good friend of mine, James Chandler, who I've known for the better part of 40 years, man. He hit me up yesterday and told me that on Saturday morning, right after midnight, he lost his sister to
Oh
COVID.
wow.
And then about 2.5 hours later, her son passed from COVID.
What?
So he lost his sister and his uncle, I mean his nephew in literally 2.5 hours, bro. And I'm
Really
like,
sorry to hear that, man.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. When he hit me up, man, he was just like, you know, like I'm not gonna say like he's immune to it, but it was like, bro, like you literally just lost two family members. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
In the midst of 2 hours, bro. And you know, I'm gonna give you credit for just being that strong. Cause me right now, I would have been, you know, at that point, I would have been, you know, probably somewhere with a bottle in my hand trying to get my head straight or whatever the case may be. But
Right.
yeah, man, this COVID stuff is real, bro. I've been telling people for the longest time, man, like unfortunately some of us not gonna get it until it hits close to home.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hitting close to home for a lot of people, man. So I hope that, you know, we start waking up, stop thinking that this is some conspiracy that the government got to, you know, shut the black community
I
down
mean,
and
well,
all.
the thing is, even if it is, and you can argue that it is, that still doesn't make it any less real.
Right,
You
exactly.
know, people argued about
Right.
AIDS being a man-made epidemic, and you know, being placed in, for a certain demographic. But people dying from AIDS is still real. The conspiracy theory about the United States government proliferating crack in the community is a conspiracy, but it's still the effects is still real. So just because something is a conspiracy, that doesn't mean that the effect of the conspiracy is not real. That's the whole point of it.
And despite some of the people's thoughts, it's not just killing us; it's killing everybody, man. Nobody's immune from this, man.
Right.
Regardless.
But here's what I'll say about that, Antoine. The thing is, it's just that, you know, it's going to impact us adversely more so because of our pre-existing conditions, because of the way we eat, generally speaking, because of we don't have access to the same health care. So it will have an adverse effect on us more than someone else. And that's really the way it's been with anything that's negative.
That's a great point. So I'm gonna do this, man. Nina, my co-host, Nina, the original party girl, she told me she's having a little technical difficulty, so hopefully she can get on. But she always gets on me at the beginning of the shows because usually when we have somebody on, I either know the person or I know of the person a little more than she does. Right, so I usually like just jump right into the meat and the potatoes, and she like, well, hold up.
Right. What about me?
You know, let me know who this is that we're talking to. So let people know who the real Larry Lancaster is. A little bit of your history coming up, and who Larry is when Larry is not on stage making everybody laugh.
So this is the Antoine's lazy interview. He basically asked me to interview myself. You know you're supposed to do this shit, man.
Oh man, hey look, I'm serious. She gets on me every week, bro, because
I got you, because before you said anything, I didn't even know you had a co-host. So I'm glad.
Yeah.
And it'll be a pleasure to meet the sister. So hopefully she can
get she got a cricket phone and bootleg Wi-Fi. So it's
hey man, I barely got on at the last minute. You should have seen me in here struggling. So yeah, I'm a stand-up comic. For those who don't know me, I've been doing comedy for about 21, 22 years. I'm based in Baltimore, born and bred. I grew up a poor black boy from Douglas Projects, man. And I just been blessed that comedy, the journey that comedy has taken me on. I was a military man, Persian Gulf veteran. I worked in corrections. I was a corrections officer for 13 years. I quit that to pursue comedy. And then my then girlfriend at the time got pregnant, and we had a son. And so my goal was to go to LA and New York and do all that kind of stuff. But once I became, you know, a father again, I really couldn't do that because I couldn't do that and be a responsible dad. So I chose to stay here. And, you know, it's only been so far you can go in Baltimore. And, you know, I think I did pretty well for myself. Got a pretty good name. Most of the comics that most people know, they either I mentored them or they came up under me. I had some type of impact in their career. And so I'm happy about that. Just the fact that I've been able to give back to the game and give back to the craft and impart something in so many young comics, man, that a lot of them are being very successful, doing a lot better than I am. And I'm not jealous about that. I'm not bitter, but I'm happy for their success, because when you mentor people, when you give back to people, that's what you want people. You should want them to do better than you. So I'm just happy where I am, man. You know, things didn't turn out the way I anticipated, but things couldn't be better for me. I'm just happy where I am. So I'm appreciative. Also, I'm a radio show host too. I got a radio show on Saturday mornings from 10 to 12 called Throwback Saturdays with Larry Lancaster and my man Mike Nice. And we play all the great old school music, the stuff that we grew up on, man. So I'm happy about that. I'm also a mentor. I mentor at-risk kids. And I was also working in the school system for a time, working with at-risk kids, man. So just trying to give back. And, you know, I came up the same way. So I have something to impart to them, and maybe I can redirect some of them where they don't go down the road a lot of my friends went down, and yours too, you know.
How can we find the radio show? I didn't know you were doing that.
It's 88.9 WEAA. It's Morgan Station, yeah. And if you're streaming like on the phone or a computer, or if you're out of range, you can go to weaa.org and listen.
Oh, man, salute to you. I didn't know you were doing the radio thing.
Yeah, great. It's my new passion, man. It's my new music has always been a passion of mine. And so to be able to express myself through music without being a musician is like I'm so happy about that, you know. And so it's a great show. We talk about things that affect the community. We give you some Black history facts. We give you some jokes. We give you a lot of stuff, man. But basically, it's a music-driven show.
So when you say the music that you grew up on, like what can we hear this Saturday when we tune in?
Well, you know, I played Prince. I played
Man,
Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, Luther, Patty. You know, and it's real eclectic. Like one week it might be neo soul, another week it might be old classic R&B. I might throw a little blues spin. Like last Saturday, I did a verses with Lauryn Hill versus Amy Winehouse, and that was really well received. People really liked that verse. So you know, I'm basically here's what I'm doing, Antoine. We know we grew up on Black radio, and Black radio is not what it used to be.
at all.
People got Spotify, they got Pandora, they got Apple Music, they got all these different streaming platforms. And so I want people to come back to radio and listen to things that you can't hear on regular Black radio stations. You're not going to hear the same 5 songs. You're not going to hear the same foolishness on the station when I'm on. And so I'm intentional about handpicking each song and making sure that people are in a good vibe and the show stays fresh.
That's real important, man. When I was in radio over the past 6 years, that's one of the things we tried to make sure we did on a regular basis was play that stuff that you won't hear when you turn and when you scrolling down that FM dial, so to
Right.
speak, when you stop at certain stations because like you said, man, you can literally hear the same song about 30 times in a day, you know, depending on what stations it is that you're listening to. And the thing that we wanted to do, man, is we wanted to make sure that okay, yeah, we have to mix in some Jay-Z and Beyonce and some of the more popular artists, but we got so much talent here in the city, man, that we always made sure that we showed Baltimore a lot of love as far as
Right.
the artists that we got here. So whether it was the hip hop artists, whether it's the R&B artists, you know, the neo soul cats that we got here, we got so much dopeness here that we just wanted to make sure that we always show love to the home team, man. So that would be a nice little idea for you guys to do one Saturday too as well. And I can put you on to some people, man, because we got some amazing artists here, bro.
That would be great, Antoine, and I would definitely like those connections because
Okay.
actually before COVID, I was doing that. I would have people come in. I had different poets, different R&B artists would come in, and we would do like a live jam session. They would actually perform in the studio and interview them and stuff like that. But because of the COVID restrictions, we had to limit the amount of traffic coming in the station. But soon as all of that stuff is lifted, I'm gonna go back to that because I like to showcase talent too. I mean, Jay-Z don't need, he got all the help he needs.
They don't need no more streams, right?
Right.
They don't need no
So,
streams.
so for the cat that's out there that could be the next Jay-Z, you know, he needs his voice heard too. So it's good that you gave a platform for that, and I try to do the same thing as well.
Yeah. And shout out to WEAA, man, because I love the fact that they give it's a lot of versatility over there. You can get anything from house
Yeah,
music to to the greatest of talk, you know, radio over there, man. They really doing some great stuff.
yeah, they got a great lineup, man. They got Dr. K, who's phenomenal. Faraji, my brother Robert Shahi. They got a great morning show with my big sister Mikkel Hunter and Calais, and just so many others, man. My man Dre, Young Cat, got his own show on Friday nights, where he played like more contemporary music. So it's actually WEAA was the station I would listen to when I got sick of listening to the same shit from 95.9 and 92Q. Then I would go over to WEAA, listen to jazz and different stuff that you really didn't hear. And so it's funny years later to be a part of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Shout out to everybody, man, that's checking in with us on Facebook Live, man. Make sure y'all share the video. If y'all got some questions, I might have to throw my reading glasses on, but if y'all got some questions for Larry, man, shoot them to me and I'll try to get them on. So Larry, you mentioned earlier, man, about some of the comedians that you more or less mentored. Who have you worked with as far as being a mentor and helping them along in the game? As far as like people here in Baltimore, I know Stiletto loves you to death.
Yeah, that's my little sister, man, and I'm so proud of her. She's making a name for herself, doing really, really well. And so when I see, I keep up with everybody on Instagram. I still go to their shows and show support. So she's one of them. Stiletto, Ray Diva, Cleon the comedian. That's like my comedy son.
That's a lot. That's a lot of
Hilarious.
WPB radio right there, man.
Yeah. Frank Nitty, Hilarious Omar, who's big on the internet now. Just Hilarious, for a time. Desi, Cool Ant. It's a lot, man. It's Henry Jones. Who else? Who else making way? Maria Sanchez. It's you name it, man. Just about any of them that came through Baltimore, they came through me, and I had some kind of impact on their career, and I'm really proud of everybody.
Do you regret at all the fact that of course you don't regret having a son. I mean that's
Right.
But do you regret at all the fact that the timing of your son being born right around the time that you were kind of ready to hit LA and kind of make that move, and you weren't able to do it? Do you have any regrets at all? Do you feel like this is what was meant for you?
Now looking back, when back then I was very resentful. I was so angry when my girlfriend told me she was pregnant. I was like, God damn it, I felt like the football player, I'm about to go pro, that type of shit. But now I look back and things panned out exactly the way they were supposed to be. I could have still done it and went out there and tried to make it famous and then try to come back and make it up to my son. But those years that you miss, man, you can't get back. And so to me, it's way more rewarding to be a dad, to be a present father, to be in my son's life, to know that I've impacted him. It's way more rewarding to see people come up and know that you instill something, imparted something in them that help them be successful. So I mean, at the time, especially in show business, it's a real selfish thing. So I was a real selfish person. Everything was me, what I wanted to do. But when you have a child, it forces you to think about other people other than yourself. And slowly through time, that changes you as a person. And then you not just your family you have to think about, but then you get in the habit of start thinking about other people. And it made me a nicer person, a better person, a more grounded person. Because I was a narcissist for a minute, man. Just a complete. I mean, people probably don't know that unless you were in a relationship with me. But yeah, man, for a time I was an asshole. So you grow and you mature, man, and you just try to be a better person once you get it and you understand that all that shit is not real. Fame, fortune, all that stuff, it's cool, but it's when I die, people are gonna have great things to say about me because I was a good person and I can stand on it.
Absolutely. I became a big fan of yours. I had seen you doing some stand up around, in different places here, but I became a big fan of yours, honestly, the first time that you came to my church to perform. I go to St. Stephen's out in Essex. And the reason I became a fan of you, and this also goes to Stiletto because she's performed at the church. I love comedians that can give me some versatility.
Right.
It takes, I don't think every comedian has that ability to do what they do on stage and then transfer that over to that kind of a setting and still either be as funny, if not more funny, or kind of like skip over some of the material, so to speak, because it's like, oh, damn, I got to remember I'm at church now and I'm not down at the Comedy Factory. I can't. Well, talk a little bit about just how important it is to have that versatility as a comedian.
Well, that's a good point, man. I actually trained under. There are two sets. I trained under Stacey Carver and Jay Phillips, two phenomenal comedians. Stacey is doing well. He's a dad and, a present father. All his kids are doing well. He and his wife have a dance studio in Randallstown, and they're doing really well mentoring young people. And then Jay Phillips, who goes on tour and does a lot of work with D.L. Hughley. And then I got to train under Howard G and Ricky Shackelford. And they're the ones who instilled in me early, like you want to be versatile. You don't want to have to, just do the black rooms and then you stop. You want to be able to, plus it opens up your marketability for more paying opportunities. So if I don't learn to do a church, and you call me and say, hey man, can you do my church? And I don't feel comfortable, I'm gonna have to turn it down, or either come in there, you know what I mean, and not be sure of myself. So I train to do these things. You train to work in churches, train to work in family family atmospheres, do white rooms, the mainstream stuff. So I learned how to do that early in my career, because the longer you wait to do that, the harder it is to overcome those bad habits. So I credit Howard G and Ricky Shackelford for preparing me to do that, man. So I'm able to do a church, and here's what actually, the first time I did a church, of course I was nervous because I thought, oh, I'm gonna slip. But I just said, okay, I can make my grandmother laugh, and I don't cuss in front of her. I don't talk about, dick jokes in front of my grandmother. So I just remember that. And it got me through, and to the point where now I can just walk in the church and I got a specific material that works for them. And so no one, people always get offended, but you try to minimize who gets offended.
Yeah, and church folks can be sometimes.
Right.
You can't make them happy. It could be Jesus standing up there giving jokes, and somebody.
But fortunately, the response has generally been pretty positive, overwhelmingly positive. I never had anybody, I ain't like you doing that. You know what I mean? It was like, I think they understand, they get it, and they even if you do something that's a little pushing the edge, as long as you're not intentionally being disrespectful or intentionally trying to offend them, they pretty much roll with you.
Yeah, you got great responses every time you came out church. You mentioned Ricky and Howard, man. I got to give a shout out to two of them. Ricky actually pops up at my church. Well, when we were going to church, quite often, and I'm kind of mad at it because I was supposed to have a spot in that Sanford and Son play, and I didn't get my spot, so I'm a little mad. But Howard, man, and I'm gonna age myself right here because Howard and I went to junior high school.
Oh wow!
Yeah, we went to Garrison Junior High. That's when I first met Howard, and then we went on to go to Walbrook. And I'm proud of just seeing the way that he just literally took off. And I know that they've been doing a lot of things and trying to make sure that this city has that platform where the up and coming comics can have a place to come out and work. And I've seen them in some of the best spots, and then I've seen them in spots that's probably about as big as this basement that I'm sitting in right now. But they always trying to make sure that they have that platform.
They're two of my comedy, comedically, they're two of my big brothers, man. So I really respect those guys, and they've done a lot for the city, especially comedically and entertainment-wise in Baltimore.
Yeah, I don't know if you're gonna want to answer this question, man. Shout out to my man Mo Hammond for checking in. He says, "Who are your top 5 Baltimore comedians?" Larry Lancaster. No, I'm just Dylan.
Does he mean currently, like out of the young crop, or just period, historically?
Doesn't really say. Give your top 5, period.
Okay, I would say it's tough because some of the guys they were based in Baltimore, but they may not be from Baltimore. I would have to say, of course, Monique, Warren Hutchinson. He does a lot of writing. He started out doing stand-up, but he's written for just about every show you could think of, Bernie Mac and all of those shows.
I didn't know he was from this area.
I
didn't know he was from this area.
Yeah, he's from Baltimore. Let's see. I like Cleon. Even though Cleon does a lot of my stuff, I still like Cleon. I like I love the guy named Joe Recker, who was from here. He actually was from Jersey, but he was based in Baltimore. Joe Clare, of course. Joe Clare's from Baltimore. And that's about 5 right there, right?
You got a lot of people coming out tonight, man. I got to get you on here more often to keep my numbers up, bro.
Oh, okay. I take that, brother. I think it's you. I don't think it's me. I just think
I had 14 people on that. Now I'm just
Hey, it happens sometimes, man.
Yeah, it does, man. It does. But you know what? That's 14 people that got something out of a show. You know what I mean?
And I've had shows where I had less than that. You know what I mean? comedy shows. I had 2 and 3 people there, and you still had to get those people the best show possible.
And that's a great segue, man. How hard is that, man, for you to stand in front of a crowd? I've seen some MCs here, you know, be in different clubs, man, where there's more people on stage than it is in the audience sometimes,
Right,
man. You know, they got all the homeboys, so they got 9 homeboys with them, and there's 4 people in the audience watching, man. How hard is it to turn that switch on and make and pretend that it's like 20,000 people that you're performing in front of instead of 20 or 10?
Well, Antoine, it's very difficult because most comics feed off of energy. And so, of course, the less people you have, the less energy you're going to get to feed off of. But you always had to remind yourself, like, listen, the show is not for who's not there. The show is for who's there. So you owe those people more of a show than if it was packed. You know what I mean? And that's how you grow your fan base. Because when it's a 2 or 3 person show and you perform to the best of your ability and gave those people a great show, they'll go and tell other people. And that's how you grow a fan base, and people appreciate that. So I always told myself early, I'm gonna perform the same if it's 5 people or 5,000. I'm gonna give them the best effort. It might not be the same show, but I'm gonna give them the same effort.
The worst times that I've always seen, man, is when it's been like open mic type of situations, whether it's comedy, whether it's, you know, a genre music, man, and say you have 15 people performing, you know, on the open mic, and you're like that 14th or 15th person.
Yeah.
Have already performed, and them and 8 people have already left.
Right.
So you got to the club, and it's like 200 people in there. By the time you get ready to go up, it's like 15.
Mm-hmm.
And I just try to tell people, like, yo, act like it's still packed in there, yo. You got to.
Right.
Got to.
Because once you master that, when the opportunity comes to perform in front of a packed audience, that will be easy. See, that's what it's training. You know what I mean? Everything prepares you for the next moment.
So how do you go? Is it just experience for you to be able to, as you guys say, control a room, so to speak?
Yeah, it is. And I see some young comics who will go up and they may not do well. And then a veteran comic will go up and change the complete energy of the room, right? And that actually happened to me when I first started. And I always pass this on to younger comics because somebody passed it on to me. I went up this, I don't know if you remember Courtney's, used to be in Randallstown. And Stacey Carver and Jay Phillips had a comedy night there. And it was a good crowd, but if you weren't experienced, it was a tough crowd. And so I went up and I didn't do well. And the veteran went up and he killed it, ripped it, right? And he said, listen, man, I ain't no funnier than you. I'm just more experienced. And I remembered that, you know, and that stuck with me. And so when I see young comics go up and they don't do well, it's not because they're not funny. They just don't have the experience to know what to do next, how to move, how to get the crowd in. And all of that comes with time. So yeah, it is experience. Some of it is stage presence too. Because so when you have stage presence, those are people who, whatever it is about them, they have a charisma or aura or a certain thing that you can't put your finger on. And when they step on stage, people stop what they're doing and pay attention. They can command an audience even before they open their mouth. Now that doesn't last the whole show. Once you got their attention, then you got to have some substance. Then you have what you call stage command, which is where you can control an audience based on things that you do. Stage presence can't be taught. You either have it or you don't. But stage command you can learn.
That reminds that makes me think of Bernie Mac, because Bernie Mac had that ability to just come up.
Yeah, he had tremendous stage presence.
Yeah,
he had a great delivery. And you notice like Cedric the Entertainer has that. A Cat Williams has that. You know, a Dave Chappelle has that. Kevin Hart, you know, those guys have Eddie Murphy. They have a stage presence where they step on stage and people just stop what they're doing to pay attention to them. Monique has it.
And I've seen that presence in you, honestly. I've seen that presence in you,
Well,
where
thank
you
you.
know, yeah, yeah. And you have like your material is always on point. How do you go about writing your material? Is it a personal, a lot of personal stuff? You talk about a lot of current events or stuff that's going on, or does it just kind of vary depending on when and where you're performing?
Well, it's basically all personal. Some of it varies depending on what's going on, depending on what's happening at the time. You always have to be current and relevant, up to date on things, you know. And sometimes though, when you talk about current events, other comics will talk about them too, because that's what's happening at the time. And if a lot of people are talking about it, then I'll just stay away from it because, you know, you try to be you want to be different and unique in this business. So most of the stuff I talk about are personal experiences that happened to me. When I first started, I used to just do a bunch of random jokes. But as I evolved and matured and found my comedy voice, I started doing things that were personal to me.
Shout out to my girl Kesha. Happy birthday, sis. Yo, I've seen comedians do this one thing, and some of them have bombed, and some of them have killed it. When you get to a point where you're kind of through with your written material, so to speak, but you still have another X amount of time on stage.
Right.
How do you get through that? And I thought about Mike Epps. I saw Mike Epps at the Lyric years ago, and
Mm-hmm.
like the last 30 minutes that he was on stage, it was all freestyle stuff. And honestly, to me, that night, his freestyle stuff was funnier than the stuff that he had written and prepared. How do you get
Right.
through that those moments when okay they haven't flashed that light and said okay it's over. You got 8 more minutes to kill it.
Well, I have so much material that's never been an issue for me.
Ah,
I could be on stage for 3 hours. Um, So that's not an issue for me. And I'm also good at improvisation. And
there
not
you
all
are.
comics are good at that. A lot of
There you
people think,
are.
a lot of people think all comics are good off the cuff, and they're not. Some
Yeah,
comics know their material, they stick to that, and that's it. But you could tell Mike Epps is a more natural comic. So it's not that he ran out of material. He probably saved that portion just to do that part of the show. Because that's what he's good at. And so yeah, I never had a problem with running out of material, but I also can do both. I got a plenty of material and I also can come off the cuff. I could do that for 30 minutes to an
yeah,
hour as well.
you can. And if you're watching, once everything opens back up, if Purple Honey gets going and you come out to a Purple Honey event, do not come in late. And if you're coming late, do not walk in front of the stage because Lord,
Yeah. But you know what, Antoine, I started doing that when I first started because what it does is it brings the show to each person. Because
yeah,
if you sometimes when you got a lot of movement and people up talking and all of that, sometimes you gotta make them pay for that. So what I'll do is I'll single out a person getting up, and then that makes everyone else say, "Okay, I want to go to the bathroom, but I'm gonna sit still," and that's kind of like how you get control of the room, where people not up walking around and talking while you on stage.
hey, bro, let me tell you, at that Valentine's event that I came to,
Uh
my wife had to go to the bathroom and she wasn't going to hold it. And she got up and started walking, and I was like, please don't let Lawrence start roasting. She
yeah,
made it in, and then I
but
think she stayed out there until the intermission or whatever, and then she came back. But as she was walking across, man, I was like, y'all don't want to have to fight Larry up in here, man. I
yeah,
hope
I don't want no
you
trouble, Antoine. And the other thing too is I try never to be mean spirited. So if I
yeah,
talk
yeah,
to
it
you,
never is. Yeah, it never is. It
you
never
know,
is.
it's never on no disrespectful or mean spirited stuff, man. And so I always try to be mindful of that. People pay their money to be entertained, not to be humiliated. And you always have to have a respect for your audience.
Yeah. Yeah. So talk a little bit. I didn't know you were doing some acting. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, doing a lot of the I did some stage plays. I used to do a lot of stuff for BT commercials and like man on the street type stuff where I would interview people. I did a lot of the movie trailers and stuff like that for BT. And so my manager was instrumental in making that happen. My shout out to Julie King. Her brother was a big time executive. Well, he still is for BET. So when BET was in DC, I was able to just drive over there and say, "Hey, man, we got a Arby's commercial we want you to do, and I'll do that, or a NyQuil commercial, or a Macy's commercial. I did commercials for a movie trailers like The Expendables, Paranormal, all kind of stuff, man. And it was a great opportunity to do that. But they've since moved to New York and LA, so it's just easier for them to use talent that's already there. But yeah, when they were in DC, man, I was doing a lot, and especially doing the stage plays too. Like with Howard, I started doing stage plays with him, and then that kind of opened opportunities up for people to see me and do other different stage plays. And so yeah, it was a great opportunity to be able to get some acting in.
How difficult is it for you sometimes during like the stage plays for you to actually embrace that character and become, you know, that character, so that once that curtain opens? I've done a few plays myself, man, and I got to the point, Larry, honestly, where, and I've heard other actors say this, and I didn't realize that it was real until I went through it. Like, you're not just that character in rehearsal and at the, you know, at the play or in the movie. Like, you have to become that character.
No,
Damn,
right. They say once you step in the building, you that character. Wherever that play is being held, once you step in that venue, you're supposed to be in that character.
No, but I was even at the point where I wasn't there. Like, I was at home or at a restaurant or something.
Right.
And
you was like Denzel in Training Day. His wife was like, I hated him when he was doing. You a method actor. You really shot dope when you played a dope thing.
Oh man, I never had it to you, but you know.
No,
I think it's funny, not to cut you off. It's funny that you said that, man, because I really think that Halle Berry spent a lot of time on the streets to prepare for some of the roles that she's done, man.
No, they said that when she played the crackhead, that she didn't bathe, and you know what I mean? Like, they said she really got into the character, and they call it method acting, when you really like immerse yourself into the lifestyle or whatever the character is. Some people, they'll go, if they playing a homeless person, they'll go and stay out on the street for a few days and live amongst homeless people so they understand what it's like. And I always applaud people who are willing to go to those lengths just to show authenticity in their craft. So that's respectable.
All of the stuff I've done has been free. I ain't got no checks for it, so I'm not going
right.
to that extent.
Right.
How hard is it, or how is it for you to be able to just, you know, turn that switch on and get into that character mode? Does it pretty much start when you, like you said, walk in the venue?
Well, the main thing is I learned from the other actors, those who were more experienced than I was. I didn't come in because I had the experience or the name as a comedian. I came in, you know, humbled, because that wasn't my forte. So I listened and I learned from the actors, and that way I was able to become an actor. The hardest part is when you're a comedian, it's just you on stage and you don't really have to share. But when you're acting, you got a cast, and you have to share the stage with the cast. You have to be able to read what they're doing. You have to know their lines. You have to be able to feed off each other. If they drop a line, you should know the script well enough where you can pick up or remind them that they dropped the line. Like, it's a lot to it. And the hardest part is repetition, because you rehearse. I mean, and this is stage acting, of course, because when you do movie acting and stuff, they can just reshoot it or they can edit it. But when you do stage acting, you can't really have no mistakes. And if you do a mistake, you got to be good enough to play it off where the audience doesn't know.
That's the one thing. The girl Shireen, who I've been in a couple of plays with, that's the one thing she always told us. She was like, if you mess up, the only person that knows that you messed up is you, and then the people up on the stage.
Right.
It's your job to make sure that those people sitting out there watching you don't know that you messed up.
You just keep it moving.
Yeah, and I've had a couple of those moments, man. and it's not as hard as you think it is, because it's really just a matter of just like continuing to, you know, until you can pick up where you're supposed to be. But sometimes if you get like really lost, you know, you can have one of those battle rapper moments where they forget their line and they walk on like, ah.
You know what helped me? I don't know if you ever heard of a brother named Walter Maxfield Jones. Walt, he used to host the the Warm Wednesdays, and he's actually an accomplished actor. And so
Okay.
I had the pleasure of working with him, and I learned a lot from him. He said, don't get caught up in the lines. Remember, think, what am I supposed to
What's
be
going
doing
on?
in the
Right.
scene?
Right.
So even if you drop a line, you still know what you're supposed to be doing. And that can help you if you drop a line or someone forgets something. You're like, okay, I'm supposed to be broke down and crying. So let me just do it. If the line ain't right or whatever, as long as I convey that emotion and what I'm supposed to be doing in the scene. So I always try to remember that. And that actually helps you with your lines, because if you remember what you're supposed to be doing, you're more likely to remember what you're supposed to be saying.
That last play that I was in, my wife was giving me a hard time, man. So if I had forgotten something, it would have been real easy for me to just think back to the lady upstairs and be like, and get right back into it with no problem.
Right.
Yeah. So I also didn't know that you touched on modeling a little bit, man. Talk a little bit about how
Man,
you.
that's just some stuff
Hey,
we
and
put in.
this is
Look,
but look,
man,
this is the funny thing. Hold up, I gotta do this. Because I told you.
look, Antoine, that's something we just put in the bio, man.
Nah, you sure?
I was a Value City model.
You sure, hey, bro? Because I'm looking through. Remember the other day when we booked the show and I said, you can either send me a picture. I'm looking through some of the pictures, man, and you got the tight shirt on with the muscle.
That was pre-COVID, brother, and a few years ago. Some of them pictures a couple of but I used to do it. I really couldn't say I was a model. I do this joke on stage where I'm like, it's a difference between being a model and being in a fashion show. I was in a fashion show. That don't, so yeah, but I did it all through high school. I did some stuff, in the later years, but yeah, that's just something my manager put on the bio, man. I don't pay that no mind.
So because you've done a little bit of acting, and because you obviously write, man, would you ever consider like writing a screenplay or writing just a stage play or getting into that?
I actually want to do, I have a couple of ideas that I want to start putting to the pen, but of course, like most writers, I procrastinate. So I'm trying to figure, and I want to use this time while it's slow and you kind of have the time to do it. I always wanted to do a story of my life, my childhood and how I grew up and kind of the things that made me a comic, and a couple of ideas that I have for some screenplays that I think will be pretty interesting. So yeah, I definitely want to make that transition to writing as well.
That's cool. That would be cool. And touch a little bit, man. The one thing that I try to always talk to people about is the fact that when you're in this game, whether you're doing music, whether you're doing comedy, whether you're doing acting or whatever, it's called show business.
Right.
Have to remember that second part of that, the business part about it. I don't know how comedians like go about getting paid or whatever the case may be, but just talk a little bit about the business side of what it is that you do, because I've honestly heard some horror stories from comedians, man, where it's like, bro, I came and I was told I was gonna get this amount, and you had Yankee promoters that only gave me $5, and
right. And I've experienced that, and so once you go through that, and that's the importance of having somebody who mentors you and teaches you these things, so you don't have to really experience them for yourself. You do contracts, because a lot of times that wards off people who are not serious. Whenever you start talking about contract and deposit, that kind of weeds out people who are not serious about the business. You have to, be on time, make sure that you're a professional, find out what the people want, what material do they want, ask questions, even ask who else is on the show, because you and another comedian might not get along. You might be on the show with somebody who will go out in front of you and do all your material before you go out there. Like all these type of things you have to find out. How you look when you go on stage, how you present yourself, how you show up. A lot of comedians don't understand that. Some comics show up and they think, oh, all I got to do is be funny. But yeah, that's true. But here's something that people don't understand. You can get way more mileage out of your career if you look a certain way. Like look at somebody like a Bill Bellamy, right? Bill Bellamy got so much mileage out of his career because of the way he would show up. He showed up attractive. He was always dressed nice, so he could host a MTV. You know, they could put him in a movie as a romantic lead because of the way he showed up versus somebody else who just shows up and says, "I'ma just be funny and that's all I gotta do." If I'm doing a black tie event, I'ma show up dressed accordingly to represent that person's, you know, whatever their vision is. And so I think all of that stuff is important. If you do a grown and sexy event and you show up in a tank top and shorts, yeah,
I've
you can
seen
be
it, bro.
funny,
I've seen it, bro.
but you know you're not really giving your best to the event, and also you're not doing you're not really you're doing yourself a disservice because you know you want to perform as if a casting director is in the audience and
Never
they
know
can
who's
see
watching.
you doing something else past with being on stage. So that I always try to keep that in mind when I show up to perform. I always try to make sure I look presentable.
Yeah, and you never know who's watching, man. Even
Right.
if it's a case where it's only 10 people in the audience, man, you never know what one of those 10 people might, you know, where what company they might represent, or you just never know, bro. You gotta give it 10,000% every time you step out there to perform because, like, this is your brand at this point. So
Right.
everything that you do once you're in that public eye is a reflection of who you are as a person and what you are as the profession that you're in, man. And that's something that I try to talk to a lot of, young people, even people that's coming into radio, man. I'm like, yo, you can't just get on a radio show, man, and just freestyle talking nonsense for, 2 hours,
Yeah,
man.
the
That's
radio is a different animal, man. You gotta have a
very different.
plan. You can't be on there making stuff up. You can't have no dead space. Like you really gotta kind
Yeah.
of know what you're doing when you're on radio because it ain't no do-overs and everybody's hearing you. So radio is serious.
This is the MTV Cribs part of the show where Larry's just
No,
gonna walk around and show
I
us
had to,
house right
I had
now.
to go get it. I had to go get a charger for my phone because I got a
Uh,
couple of messages saying I had low battery, so I didn't want it to cut off in the middle of the interview, brother.
yeah. So look, man, once this pandemic is over and we get back to whatever the normal is going to be, like, what do you have on deck as far as some of the things that you want to accomplish in 2021 and then even longer term?
You know, the first thing I want to be able to do is just hug people. I
Mm,
know that sounds crazy.
that
Like
doesn't.
when I used to do shows, you know, I would like to stand by the door, thank people for coming, shake hands. I like that interaction with the audience. And since the COVID, I haven't really been able to do that. So I really, even more than performing, I miss the scene, the comedy scene, hanging out with all the comics, hanging out with the people who come and support comedy. You know, because sometimes people support you so much they end up being friends. You know, they start off coming to a show and you see them, and then people become a part of your life as friends. So I just miss all of that, man. But I think when the world opens back up, it's going to be crazy. People are going to be so happy to be able to party, to socialize, to be entertained. It's really going to be crazy. I don't think there's going to be any shortage of work. The only thing that that I'm concerned about is a lot of the businesses, like the venues where we used to do the kind of entertainment stuff, if they can make it and get on the other side of the pandemic financially. A lot of businesses are going to be lost. A lot of comedy clubs are going to be lost. And so that's the sad part of this.
It's funny that you said that, man, because literally right before the pandemic hit and stuff started shutting down, I think we went to the last show at the Comedy Factory,
Mm-hmm.
which was on a Friday night, and I think Saturday's show ended up being canceled. It was Red Grant who
Right.
came and did an amazing job. And I remember sitting there that night because it was only, I think they were only letting about 50% of the people in. And I remember sitting there that night and looking at the Comedy Factory from where I was. I could see, peripherally everybody that was there. And I was like, yo, if this lasts too long, this place might be gone for real.
Yeah, because
It-
I actually think the Comedy Factory will be okay. But yeah, when you think about a place of that size and what their mortgage or rent is per month, what
yeah,
their expenses are, and when you talk about you can only go to 50% capacity, like even a sold out show in that capacity, like how much does that offset your expenses and your mortgage. So a lot of businesses are really hurting, man. And so I just hope that, especially minority businesses, Black-owned businesses, small businesses, I really hope they're able to withstand the storm, man, and still hang around and be able to be productive and take advantage of, when things kind of go back to normal. And who knows when that'll be, because we really don't know.
Yeah. Is there anything that's kind of taking place where someone is trying to do something to like help the little comedy clubs, man, so that they can kind of stay afloat? I know that they can't physically do shows, but you know how some of the restaurants in the areas, man, they have other restaurants that are kind of, doing things to raise money and so on and so forth. Is there anything like that going on for comedy that you know of?
Well, businesses, period, there's a lot of they have what you call SBA loans, and they have a lot of like when they say the stimulus package, people always just think about the money that we'll individually get, the $600 or the $1,200. But there's also money in there for small businesses, minority-owned businesses. And of course, the big boys are going to get their money first. But there's also money for the smaller small businesses and minority businesses. So you really got, if you're a business owner, you got to stay on top of that stuff and do your due diligence to know when they open that stuff up, what you have to do to have access to that money. And so, yeah, there are things that they have for businesses.
And if it gets to a point long term where, we're in 2021 now, this has been going on for almost a year, because I think it started in March of last year.
Right, about March, it'll be a year.
Yeah, this goes on for like another X amount of months, man. Like, what is Larry going to do to keep from going insane?
Well, if I haven't gone insane already, I'm not. I'm gonna keep doing what I've been doing. Taking advantage of the time. See, I'm like I said, I've been doing this so long that I don't have the same itch or urgency as if I did when I was, just starting.
Gotcha.
So once you've been doing something for so long, and I'm at a certain age now where I'm not as restless. I don't, before, if I wasn't performing, I would get the itch to perform. I had to find somewhere. I haven't really been having that. And so I don't know if that means I may be losing my passion for comedy.
That was my next question.
Yeah. I think I'm just ready to transition to other things.
Okay.
And so being behind the scenes, producing shows, and again, mentoring young comics, helping somebody else come up the ranks and help them be successful. So it's more than one way to contribute in show business than always being in front of the camera or in the spotlight. And but I'm okay now for right now. And I know when I really want to perform, I can find somewhere and make it happen. But I've been okay with with the way things are. And I still have been performing, just not at the same rate that I was before the pandemic.
So what does Larry say to that upcoming aspiring guy or woman that they feel like they're funny at the Christmas parties, and they can make their grandmother laugh, like you said earlier, and they want to kind of try to transition that onto the stage and start doing it seriously? What would be some advice that you would give them?
The first thing I would tell them is educate yourself before you step into anything. Do your research, study comedy, study comedians, and so you learn from them, not so you steal from them, because that can be dangerous too.
Yeah.
And get on stage. A lot of people come up to me and say, "Hey man, I'm funny. I want to try." And when I give them an opportunity, like, look, I'm gonna be at the place. I do a comedy night on Thursdays. Come down here. Almost none of them ever show up. I think a lot of times we are our own worst roadblock because we don't believe in ourselves. And I know it's frightening. I didn't start doing comedy till I was 30 years old because I was afraid. I didn't get the nerve to do it until I was 30. And even then, I was thinking about how I'm going to get out of it. Like, I was like, I'm going to fall down backstage and say I hurt myself just so I don't have to go on. It's really frightening, and I get it. But you have to overcome that fear, man, and do it. And so to most young comics, I give them the advice is stay on stage. That's the most advice I can give you, because anything else I tell you won't matter unless you're actually doing it.
And the first point that you made to actually, research and learn, is very important, man. I didn't step into radio for like a year after I decided that I wanted to do it, man, because I used to just sit and watch like the Breakfast Club and
Right.
different radio shows around. And it wasn't until I got to a point where I was like, okay, I feel like I can go and do this now, that I took that step. And it's just an honor to still be here, after almost 6 years, man. And I was at WPB, that's where I got my start at. Shout out to Frank Johnson
Right.
and everything, man. And
And
just
that was a great opportunity for me as well. And
yeah.
I got to give shout out to Frank Johnson and April Hall, who had WPB together,
Yeah.
and they've since split. But that's still my brother, that's still my
Right.
sister. Much respect to them, man, because I had a lot of great opportunities and learned a lot about doing a radio show from them. And also Mark Clark welcomed me in when he was at Big Fat Morning Show. Remember, I used to do this character called Gerard on that show, and it really, I love you here. And the character became really popular. And I used to sit in for Mark, and I got to learn how to host a radio show, how to, go about the business of having a radio show. So shout out to those people.
So Mark is one of those dudes, man, that if you needed to, you could sit down and talk to Mark for like 4 hours, man. And
just a great person.
And love into you. Yeah.
Right, great person. And I also got to shout out my WEAA family, because they welcomed me with open arms, and I learned a lot from them, and still learning from them, even with my own show. So it's like people give back and invest in you and pour into you so you can learn. You owe it to other people to give it back.
WPB, man, was a great learning experience. Like I remember, man, I was supposed to start 1 week, but I didn't have any training on how to do the boards, man. So I went and sat in with the dude Coyote, man, one day, and he was like, "Yo, you do this, that, and the third." And then like that next week, I'm sitting there and I'm like, "Damn, we're really here now." I had three other people with me. Shout out to my man.
Antoine, you felt like you was an airline pilot when you learned that board, though, didn't you?
Bro,
man, that was I love doing the board, man. When I learned to do the board, I loved it.
But yo, my first time, I was like, "Yo, y'all sure it's not an online course or something, or I need to go to CCBC and like really sit there and learn this?" Because I felt like that was one of those situations where you felt like if you push one wrong button, it was it. And
you could do that.
Yeah, you could. And Frank and April used to be like, "Well, if something goes wrong, we can always remote in." But my show, when it started, was Friday nights from 10 to midnight. I wasn't calling April and Frank at 11 o'clock on a Friday night.
But trust me, Frank was listening. He might not have said nothing. He was listening.
Frank was listening and checking your numbers. That's what Frank was doing.
He was listening.
Yeah, he was checking your numbers to make sure he wasn't the only one listening. That's what he was doing.
Right.
Yeah, man. Hey, bro, like I really appreciate you, man, for coming and hanging out tonight. This is something we've been trying to do for a minute, man. But like I told another guest a couple of weeks ago that I've been trying to get on, I feel like everything happens when it's time.
Exactly.
And one thing that I like about doing my show this way now is that I don't have to get Larry to come all the way across town.
Where would that be anyway? If I had to come to the actual show,
before I started doing this, I was actually on Bel Air Road.
Okay, but yeah, so see, that wouldn't have been a problem for me because I actually like this is cool, but I actually like the energy of in studio. So whenever anybody asks me to come on the show and they like, well, if you can't make it, you can call in. I'm like, listen,
I hate calling in. I got it. I love to be able to see the person that I'm talking to. So this is fun for me. I don't like sitting in the radio station and then having somebody call in.
Yeah, because it's the timing, right? The timing is off. The energy is not there. So whenever possible, man, when we back up and you need somebody to come in live, brother, I'm there. It's just a matter of working out the schedule.
Man. I appreciate you, bro. And I'm looking forward to getting back out there and seeing you sometime soon, man. So make sure you keep everybody posted on when you're doing something. I might drive about 30, 45 minutes to come see you, man, depending on where you at.
Okay, brother, and I appreciate that. Thanks for letting me know I'm worth $10 for gas, Antoine.
Hey, bro, I've seen you enough times to know that it's worth getting on the road a little bit to go travel to see Larry. Right. I don't know who else gonna be on the show, but I know for the time that you up there, I know I'm gonna appreciate and enjoy the show. So that's all that matters.
And I still do churches, so keep that in mind.
Bro, I can't wait till our church open up, boy. That first Sunday that we open back up, we might not get out of church till about 6 o'clock, man.
Yeah, you know the preacher's gonna have a lot to say, right?
It's gonna be a lot going on before the preachers even get up to preach, man. For real.
Yeah, cool.
I can't wait. I miss those times, man. I miss my St. Stephen's family, man. I've been going to that church for over 20 years, bro, and that's like an extended family, man. And to not have that. I mean, we're doing church online and everything, man, but sometimes
it's not the same, man. It's not the same.
Sometimes at St. Stephen's, man, the funnest part of church is after the church is over and you sitting around and you fellowshipping with
right them. And fellowshipping, right.
And like you said, that hug, we don't have that ability to get that hug anymore, man. So I definitely miss it, bro. Let everybody know how they can follow you social media wise.
Basically on all social media platforms, comedian Larry Lancaster. That's Instagram, Facebook. I don't really do Twitter too tough,
I deleted mine.
Right.
I deleted mine.
That's it, man. Comedian Larry Lancaster. If you want to book me or need booking information, you can contact my manager, Julie King, 410-917-3048. And make sure you check out Throwback Saturdays every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, 88.9 or WEAA.org. Check the show out once, and I guarantee you'll be hooked. I guarantee.
Definitely. Hey, bro. Not only do I want to check the show out, man, but I want to come up and sit in the studio with y'all while y'all do the show. I don't want to be on the show.
Right.
I want to be amongst that energy that I know that you guys are bringing, man.
Let me know, bro, and I can make that happen.
I'm 12 minutes from Morgan. I can do it any Saturday you tell me to come, bro.
You let me know. We can make that happen.
Okay, that's what's up, man. Hey, bro, again, I appreciate you, man. I love everything that you're doing, man. Keep working. I know that you're not out there like you used to, but don't lose that passion yet. Because I still feel like you got a lot more to give to the world, you know what I'm saying? So hopefully this doesn't go on too much longer and get you to the point where you lose that passion, man.
Right. Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I'm always be affiliated with comedy and entertainment some fashion, you know what I mean? So even if it's not actually doing stand-up on the stage, I'm still be involved. So God has blessed me to be able to do that.
And Karen and Kevin, if you're watching, we need Purple Honey back in 2021.
Yeah, man. We need them back. You know, they was at UB Blake for a minute. So the last show I did for them was at the UB Blake Center. Okay. So they still active.
Yeah, that's an amazing show, man. If you've never had a chance to go to a Purple Honey event, man, when it's back up and running, bro, get out there. One
of the best show brands I've ever been affiliated with.
Really. Yeah, shout out to my girl L&G, because she always comes in and holds it down, man.
Yeah. Shout out to L&G, man.
L&G. All right, bro, I'm gonna let you go, man. Again, I'm so thankful, man, that you took some time out to come and hang out, man. And if you got something going on in the future that you need to come and promote, man, just give me a holler, inbox, text message, whatever, bro, and we'll make it happen.
Yeah, I'm gonna inbox you my number, Antoine, so you'll have it. I
got your number. I sent you the text when I asked you if you was getting on.
I thought you sent it on Messenger. I didn't know.
No, that was a text message.
Okay, good. All right, well, I
got you locked in, bro.
Cool.
I'm gonna get you to come perform in my basement next week. It's only gonna be 6 people here.
Hey, I've done them shows, man. As long as you got the money, I'm there.
No, that's right. That's what's up, man. My man, Larry Lancaster, I appreciate you,
brother. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me, Antoine.
No doubt. That's my dude, man. Give it up for my man, Larry, bro. Yo, one of the most genuine dudes I know, man. Always shows love, bro, and just like he's like one of the funniest guys, man. Like if you haven't had the chance to get out and see him perform live, like I said, when the world opens back up, man, get out there and check that dude out, man. He's freaking hilarious. And he's always going to give you your money's worth, man. Shout out to my girl, Nina, the original party girl. I guess she could not figure out her technical difficulties tonight, man. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I got to check the schedule. I'm not sure when the next show is. I think we have another show next Monday. But just keep locked, man. If you haven't already, make sure you go and follow us on the Access Granted Facebook page. We got a fan page. Also, make sure you go to YouTube, man, and subscribe to Access Channel - the pod stream. and subscribe, man, so that we can get those numbers up. We're working right now to make sure that all of the podcast stuff comes together, so we out there on like Apple and Spotify and all of those things. As soon as that stuff is good together, man, I'll make sure I hit you all up. Otherwise, man, everybody stay safe. Apparently, the weather is coming. I saw some flurries when I came downstairs before the show, man. So everybody stay safe. I love you all. Cash, happy birthday to you again, where you at? Shout out to my man Dane from Primetime Partners. Is his stuff going across? Yeah, that's his stuff going across at the bottom of the screen right now, man. Go support my little dude, man. That dude was one of my first co-hosts on Baltimore Flavor Radio, man. And he calls me his son, even though I'm like 4.5 feet taller than him, man. But I love that dude to death, man. Do anything for him. So go support Primetime Partners, man. And I appreciate everybody for hanging out. I'm in this right now, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.